Olá a todos, sejam todos muito bem-vindos. Boa tarde para todos. Daqui a pouquinho já vou dar boa tarde para o nosso palestrante. Também, se já quiser colocar aqui no palco, podemos chamar já a Eliane Dornelas, que é lá da Color Mix. Tá? Sejam todos muito bem-vindos ao webinar, que hoje é da ABC e da Color Mix. Está utilizando a plataforma e know-how de toda a ABC, a Associação Brasileira de Cosmetologia. A ABC, para quem não conhece ainda, é uma associação sem fins lucrativos, que desde 1973 a gente está trazendo esse desenvolvimento da cosmética no Brasil. Todo mundo pode conhecer um pouquinho mais em www.cosmetologiabrasil.com. Então, aproveitem todos aí para conhecerem um pouquinho mais. Esse é um dos benefícios aqui, para quem é associado jurídico, esse daqui é um dos benefícios, né, de poder estar utilizando e apresentando para todo o mercado da cosmética, tudo que você tem de melhor. E a ABC hoje, ela conecta toda essa sociedade cosmética do Brasil, né, com sua empresa e com todos os beneficiados aqui da ABC. Obrigado à presença de todos os convidados aqui na plataforma, também o pessoal que está no YouTube assistindo a gente e também nas mídias sociais. Agradeço a Iana por estar aqui ajudando na plataforma, a Mayra Gonza por organizar toda a equipe, pela organização, e toda a equipe da Color Mix. Aqui eu vou citar no caso o Fernando e a Eliane Dornelas, que já está aqui ao meu lado. Ótimo, então, gente, muito obrigado. Obrigado à presença aqui da Eliane, que vai agora fazer a apresentação do nosso palestrante da tarde. Eliane, eu deixo com você para você fazer essa apresentação do nosso palestrante, que não é do Brasil.
É isso aí, Marcel. A gente está muito feliz, toda a equipe do Grupo Ciências da Vida, da Color Mix. É uma oportunidade bem importante assim, para nós, de poder trazer, né, para esse evento da Color Mix, dessa webinar, o Dr. Guglielmo Bifulco, que é farmacêutico com especialização em ciência e tecnologia cosmética, pós-graduado em ciências da nutrição humana, pesquisador do Departamento de Farmacologia Experimental da Universidade Federico II de Nápoles e é o gerente técnico e de marketing científico da Kalichem, uma empresa italiana que é representada e distribuída aqui no Brasil pela Color Mix, e da qual a gente tem muito orgulho né, de poder fazer essa parceria e de estar aqui hoje trazendo um assunto tão interessante como o que o Guglielmo vai trazer para a gente. Então, fica contigo aí o nosso início e sucesso para todos nós.
Muito obrigado a você, Eliane, e obrigado a Color Mix por estar trazendo essa possibilidade aqui de todos os brasileiros estarem conhecendo um pouquinho mais, né, que ele vai trazer para a gente. Também vou colocar as observações. Ele vai estar fazendo a apresentação hoje em inglês, tá? Então, perguntas, se vocês puderem fazer as perguntas em inglês, a gente agradece. Se não puder, a gente vai fazer a tradução aqui, vamos tentar fazer o melhor possível da tradução, vou colocar para ele. Vocês podem fazer a pergunta do lado de cá. Teve uma pequena quedinha aqui de conexão, acho que vocês estão me ouvindo, espero que estejam todos me ouvindo. Estão todos me ouvindo? Vou pedir até para vocês me responderem, acho que o João já me respondeu aqui, está me ouvindo? Sim, a Mayra está me ouvindo, ok. Vou pedir agora só o Guglielmo para ligar o vídeo, o áudio dele. Please, Guglielmo, turn on your video and your audio, please. So we have Guglielmo here. I'm not listening to you, Guglielmo. Please turn on your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. Thank you so much. You are, good evening for you. Here we are in
Good afternoon for you.
Yeah, good evening for you. Thank you so much. You are in Italy, correct? Which city?
Exactly. Close to Milano.
What city?
Close to Milano. The city is Brescia. It's between Milano and Venice.
Grazie. Now, I think it's your time. I wish you the best. And now we have, and now you have all the participants with you. Okay, thank you so much.
Very good.
In the end, we come together again. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, first of all, thanks everybody for joining this event. I'm really honored to have been invited by the ABC and by our Brazilian partner Color Mix to this event. It's quite important for me, this conference. Just very shortly, I will tell you about my experience. I was about to come to Brazil this year, and unfortunately for the reasons we all know, the COVID situation that before hit Italy and then the rest of the world, it was not possible. So I hope that this will be just the beginning of the relationship between me and the Brazilian cosmetics world. And I would say that we start with a very important topic, because today we will see a very interesting presentation about a raw material that is very innovative in the field of sun care formulations. So shortly I will share my screen with you, and you will be able to see the presentation that we will hold today. So regarding the presentation, as I said, the object is the introduction of this raw material that is basically used for sun care formulation as well as for anti-aging formulations. The level of innovations with this product is quite important, because as we will see, we will have plenty of added values that if we watch the cosmetics market, we will understand basically all the benefits that derive from the use of this raw material. So the raw material is called APALIGHT, and it is a raw material that we have as a Kalichem developed along with a very important institute of research in Italy, which is the Italian National Research Council. This institute of research is very popular in Italy and all over the world for the development of the calcium and phosphate-based materials. I mentioned calcium and phosphate materials because I am referring to the raw material in object, which is made on hydroxyapatite. We will see very well what is the all the added values derived from the use of this product. So it's important to understand that first, the development of this raw material comes from some excellences in the world for the development of this kind of material, calcium and phosphates. So summarizing all the points that we will check today, first of all, let's focus the attention on the nature of the product we will introduce, because the product in object is, as I said before, made of hydroxyapatite, more specifically of biomimetic hydroxyapatite. Kalichem does have a patent for the application of hydroxyapatite in sun care formulations. So regarding the applications that we will see, we will talk about SPF protection. We will see how this raw material is positioned in the market and which products it is able to replace. I can anticipate we are working in replacement of mineral, of inorganic filters mainly. This product brings to the table very important innovations, first of all, regarding the texture of the raw material, because this raw material does not give the typical blue whitening effect that we are used to see with titanium dioxide, with zinc oxide, etc. In terms of texture, this product does not give us the perception of a mineral touch, as its texture is really very light. Another interesting point of discussion is related to the environmental impact of this product, because basically this raw material is made of a product, the hydroxyapatite, which is occurring in the sea ecosystem. So in comparison to other filters used in the market, we are talking about a totally different aspect of sustainability. And of course, we will have a view also regarding the applications for which this product is used. So just a quick view of the first aspect of this raw material, which is, the first aspect that we should consider when we talk about sunscreen formulations, the safety. Safety is the most important aspect of this product, because in comparison to other filters whose toxicological profile is anyway under discussion, when we talk about this specific material, hydroxyapatite, we know from the medical experience that this kind of product is basically used for very important applications. For example, we have the use of hydroxyapatite in the development of prosthesis, or even in injections as a replacement of the hyaluronic acid or Botox. So from this perspective, we immediately can perceive and understand what is the safety rate of this product. So just to make a very first overview of the topics of discussion, we will observe the nature of this hydroxyapatite. We will highlight its physiological from the physiological point of view. We know that we have hydroxyapatite in our body, so that's why we say that it is totally safe compound. Consider that we have hydroxyapatite in the tooth, we have hydroxyapatite in the bones, so it is a material that our body daily deals with. So from this perspective, we absolutely have something that is totally compatible with the human physiology. In detail, from a functional point of view, this product works like a filter. We define it as a sunscreen booster, but as we will see from the in vivo tests that were carried out, we will see that this product can absolutely work like a filter. We will see the eco-sustainability aspect, and I can start anticipating that from a functional point of view, what we have observed is that this hydroxyapatite can withstand the performances of titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. One of the other innovative aspects of this product is related to its dynamism, because APALIGHT is a dynamic active ingredient, because it works like a filter, but as we will see, after a while that we use it on our skin, it will turn to an anti-aging active. So we will have really a lot of interesting topics to check. So let's start with the sunscreen formulation. So where are we willing to use APALIGHT? From this perspective, we can anticipate that APALIGHT can be used basically everywhere. You can use it in traditional sunscreens. For example, we define them as the typical mixed sunscreen, where we are using both organic and inorganic filters, or we can use it also for mineral sunscreens, which are much more trendy today because of the safety profile and for the fact that in some way they can absolutely be tolerated also by children. So it's very popular to see today sunscreen formulation for babies that respond to this philosophy of mineral sunscreens. So the topics of today will be the analysis of the activity of APALIGHT in these two systems. So what is the rationale of use of APALIGHT in both cases? Let's start with the analysis of the activity of the APALIGHT in the traditional sunscreens. So in a mixed sunscreen where we are combining it with titanium dioxide or with organic filters. So when we replace titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, the benefits are first related to the texture of the product, because we know that TO2 and zinc oxide, unless they are in nanomaterial form, usually give a not really exciting texture because, of the friction at the application, and also because, they give the typical whitening effect. With APALIGHT, we are able to absolutely eliminate these bad effects. In fact, if we make a 1:1 replacement of titanium dioxide, for instance, we can keep exactly the same SPF efficacy, but we can forget about all the problems related to the texture. So we use APALIGHT in this kind of systems because we want to improve the sensorial profile of the formulation. We want to improve the safety of the formulation because we can both reduce organic filters, which we know that some of them have been identified as potentially toxic for the human body, and also can we use an alternative to titanium dioxide. Titanium dioxide today is under discussion, especially for its application in when it comes in powdery form. We know that the Proposition 65 in California has limited the use of this ingredient because of its cancerogenic features, especially for inhaling. Last but not least, another reason for which we can use APALIGHT is definitely because we can improve the environmental impact of the sunscreen. And that's easy to explain this. We will see this aspect at the end of the presentation. In any case, hydroxyapatite is part of the sea ecosystem, so it is absolutely well tolerated by the sea if we make a comparison with the other filters. When instead we analyze the use of APALIGHT in mineral sunscreen, of course, the most important benefits are related to the reduction of the formulation whitening, to the improvement of the sensorial profile, in increasing the safety profile, because as we have seen before, TO2 is under discussion for its potential, for its proven toxicity, sorry. And also, reducing the, improving the safety profile and responding in the best possible way to the need for baby care application to have products as safer as possible. So here we start to get into the technical discussion of APALIGHT, because, for example, here we have an example of how a cream looks like when we use titanium dioxide and when we use APALIGHT. In this case, what we have is simply a formulation, a base formulation containing 6% of titanium dioxide, which you can see on the left of your screen, and a cream with APALIGHT at 6%. You can see that from a blue whitening point of view, the product does not give at all the typical color of titanium dioxide. And also, and this, is something that you can experience by asking samples to color mix. The product has absolutely a mineral-free perception. So that's absolutely something innovative, because even if we have a well-protected skin with by using a mineral, we will not feel fill that mineral when we will use this product. So I always say that, cosmetics products are basically not only products that have a functional aspect to consider, but cosmetics products have to be pleasant when they are used. So APALIGHT is a unique product from this point of view because it allows to have pleasant sunscreen formulation, which is something very difficult to obtain today if we are also chasing the maximum safety profile. So now we will check all the tests that were made with this raw material. The tests that we carried out are tests both in vivo and in vitro. We will start with the in vivo tests, a very important aspect to consider. Usually, when we make tests with APALIGHT, the results that we can observe in vivo are way much better than the results that we have in vitro. This is because APALIGHT, as I said, is made of hydroxyapatite. As I mentioned before, hydroxyapatite is a product also with an anti-aging and a beneficial action on the skin. So, of course, when we use this raw material, we will see in vivo, in biological living systems, more effectively the activity of this compound. So usually it's very important to keep in mind that when analyzing the activity of this product, in vivo tests give better results than in vitro tests. Nonetheless, also with in vitro tests, we have observed an important activity. So let's start with observing the in vivo tests that were carried out. The in vivo tests in object were made on mixed sunscreens and also on mineral sunscreens. Let's start with the traditional mixed sunscreens. What we did here is the following. So we used 3 standard formulation, one SPF 15, the other SPF 30, and the other one SPF 50+. So for each of these 3 creams, we have added, in one case, titanium dioxide, in the other case, APALIGHT, just to check which are the differences when it comes to reasoning about SPF increase. So we will see how APALIGHT affects the protection when compared to titanium dioxide. So starting from the SPF 15 formulation, we can see that the values of the increase of the protection given by titanium dioxide and APALIGHT is quite comparable. In this case, we can see that even APALIGHT even works a little better than titanium dioxide. Of course, SPF have a variability. SPF tests have some variabilities in their results. So, I mean, even if we work better, we generally say that the activity is comparable. Same thing, for example, happened in the case of an SPF 30 formulation, where the organic filters that you see on the right side of the slide are able to give a protection rate of 30. When we add APALIGHT and titanium dioxide, we can achieve 35 SPF with titanium dioxide and 40 with APALIGHT. So also in this case, we have an activity which is slightly better. And the same pattern can be observed as well in the SPF 50+ formulation. Because in the SPF 50+ formulation, we start from 50, and through the additions of APALIGHT and titanium dioxide, we can observe basically exactly the same SPF increase level. So these are systems that, of course, are related to the combined use of APALIGHT to titanium dioxide, to organic filters. But how does APALIGHT behave when it is used alone? The question is, the answer to this question is quite nice, because we have evidence that APALIGHT can work like a filter. From this point of view, there was a test that was carried out in Brazil by the Gruppo Cosmoscience Institute of Research. And basically what was tested was a filters-free formulation only containing APALIGHT at 22% of use of active matter. The test was a preliminary test carried out on phototype 3 subjects, and what was assessed was the SPF protection and the in vitro UVA protection factor. So, based on the tests made, what was highlighted was that APALIGHT is able to give an SPF value of 44 and a UVA protection factor of 11 just when used by itself. On the right side, you can see the formulation, which was made by our partner Color Mix. It's a very nice formulation, formulated in cold process, with a very nice sensorial profile. And this formulation gave astounding results, both for the SPF protection and also for the UVA protection factor. Just consider that in this case, we have only used APALIGHT, so of course we need to raise a little bit the UVA protection factor, which is something that we can obtain with a very small zinc oxide addition or through other filters addition. But this is just to give you an idea of how APALIGHT is able to behave when used even alone in formulations. Another very interesting aspect that was highlighted by the tests is the photostability of APALIGHT, because what was measured was the absorbance before and after the irradiation. And the results suggest that the protection rate of the formulation is basically unchanged before and after the irradiation, with the achieving of a critical wavelength of 384 nanometers. So from this perspective, APALIGHT also gives another important aspect. We know that the photostability is a great issue for really many sunscreen filters. With APALIGHT, we don't have this kind of issue. The tests, further tests were made also, for example, with combinations with zinc oxide. In this case, we have two systems that were formulated, one containing zinc oxide at 20% and APALIGHT at 5%, and we made a comparison against the formulation with only zinc oxide. And on the other side, another formulation with zinc oxide at 16% and APALIGHT at 3%, which, by the way, was awarded as most innovative sunscreen at the latest in Cosmetics Latin America. So, with regards to the results of this SPF test, what we have observed is that the formulation with 20% of zinc and 5% of APALIGHT gives 20.7 of SPF rate, which is a value comparable to the formulation made only with zinc oxide. In the latter case, so with the formulation that was awarded at the latest in Cosmetics, the SPF level was 24, more or less, and the UVA protection factor was of 13. So we also have the UVA-UVB ratio, which has been respected. So this is just for showing the award that APALIGHT won at the latest in Cosmetics Latin America. So that's what was made, that's the result obtained with the previous formulation that we have observed. So another interesting test that was made regards the application of the APALIGHT in combination with titanium dioxide in this case. For this specific case, we have made some in vitro tests, more specifically the spectrophotometric SPF evaluation. So what we have observed in this case is that by using the combination of APALIGHT and titanium dioxide with 5 parts of APALIGHT and 1 part of titanium, we can achieve basically the same UVB protection as we obtain it with the combination between zinc oxide, 5 parts, and titanium dioxide, 1 part. Of course, when we compare these two different systems, the system containing APALIGHT and titanium dioxide shows, from a sensorial point of view, totally different touch. So, I mean, from this test, we can understand that not only can we use APALIGHT with organic filters, with, as it is also, and with zinc oxide, we can also combine it with titanium dioxide. So we have to consider also the versatility of this raw material. Here we can find some information regarding the SPF values and the critical wavelength when we can compare the activity of titanium dioxide and APALIGHT and titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. So basically, summarizing all the aspects that we have seen so far, APALIGHT can be used in every sun care formulation. You can use it with organic filters, you can use it as it is, you can use it also with inorganic filters, no matter which they are. So we have seen the sun care application aspect. There is anyway another interesting aspect to consider for this raw material, that is the anti-aging action. Because when it comes to anti-aging action, we see how intelligent is APALIGHT when applied on the human body. Why do we claim anti-aging action? Let's see step by step what APALIGHT does when applied on the skin. Immediately after the application, APALIGHT, I mean, in its mineral form, is able to give an immediate soft focus effect, which gives a matte effect. So it's something that can be used also for makeup applications, by the way. Immediately after the application, the raw material will work as a sunscreen booster or filter. Let's keep both the option open. And it also works like a soft focus active. But after a few hours after the application, APALIGHT starts losing its mineral form. So when it loses its mineral form, APALIGHT is able to start a release of calcium and phosphate ions on the skin. This effect is triggered by the skin acidic pH. So when summarizing, after the application of APALIGHT on the skin, we will have the sun care protection. After a certain amount of time after the application, the acidic pH of the skin will promote the release of calcium and phosphates, which will give different beneficial effects. They will nourish keratinocytes and fibroblasts. They will promote the physiological skin cells turnover. And we will have a restoring action on the skin phospholipids. So that's also why we say that in vivo tests give an anti-aging, that's why we say that in vivo tests give better results than in vitro. Because, I mean, in vitro, we cannot assess this kind of beneficial effects, which are instead detected in vivo. So, with regards to the soft focus effect, of course, it is a visual effect that is taking place immediately after the application. It is also called as a Cinderella effect, which is a very nice way to say it, and it is an immediate effect after the application, as I said before. So, right after using the raw material, applying it on the skin, we will have sun protection and soft focus effect. After a certain amount of time, we will have a release of calcium and phosphate, hence an anti-aging action. We have assessed in vivo that APALIGHT is able to reduce of 10% the wrinkle depth after a 4-week treatment. So besides the possibility of claiming sun protection, we also have an anti-wrinkle active ingredient. So That's something absolutely unique for a raw material used in sun care formulations. And this also explains us why hydroxyapatite is used in aesthetic medicine in injection, because it has an objectified activity also in the anti-aging field. Besides the anti-wrinkle action, we have a skin overall elasticity increase of 10%, and an increase of the skin compactness and reduction of skin stretchability, which was assessed by a reduction of 17% of the viscoelasticity of the skin, so the R6 parameter. So it's quite clear that our discussion is regarding a raw material that makes a real difference in the market, because from the sensorial profile to the optimal tolerance, so the toxicity which is basically absent in this raw material, we are able to overcome all the problems in sun care formulation, and at the same time we can absolutely add something more to our sunscreens, because we are also adding the anti-aging action, which has been proven in vivo. Another extremely interesting aspect is related to the sustainability of the raw material, because in terms of impact of the sun care formulation, what we observe is that the raw material, the hydroxyapatite, is basically found also in the fish bone. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that the human body is made of hydroxyapatite. Our teeth are made of hydroxyapatite, and at the same time, also fish bone is made of hydroxyapatite. That's absolutely not where we source it. We don't kill humans, we don't kill fish. We just make in the lab, starting from natural minerals, this raw material. But from a compositional and behavior point of view, our hydroxyapatite behaves at the same way of the fish bone hydroxyapatite. That's why we have a difference in comparison to the other filters used in the market, because at the end of the day, we are giving, when we use APALIGHT in a sunscreen formulation, we release in the sea a material which is already found in the sea, which has been in the sea for ages, for centuries actually. Fish have been populating the seas for really a long time. So we are really talking about a material which is respectful of the nature, of the environment, of the coral reefs, which today are threatened by the pollution, by the global warming, etc., etc. So APALIGHT gives us the possibility of doing something beneficial for the environment. Summarizing all the last facts, we have mentioned that hydroxyapatite from APALIGHT hydroxyapatite gives a physical protection boosting against UV. This product is well tolerated by the human body and by the environment. I didn't mention before, but this is something very important. The product is certified by Cosmos ICEA, so you can definitely use it for natural formulations, natural certified formulations, sorry. It is a dynamic active ingredient because, as we have seen, we can go from filtering, from a sun screening activity to an anti-aging activity. We are able to improve the sensorial profile of the formulations. We can reduce the toxicity, and we have an additional anti-aging action that was proven through a reduction of wrinkle depth, elasticity increase, and skin firmness increase. Just some last words regarding this topic, regarding the formulation aspects of APALIGHT, because APALIGHT comes in either in powdery form or in suspension form. The natural version of the certified Cosmos version of APALIGHT comes in powdery form. So we will see very quickly which are the best ways of using this product when we make formulations with it. APALIGHT basically comes in powder form, which is easily dispersible. We can disperse it both in oily phase or in water phase. For the oily phase, what we do is using APALIGHT after we have heated up the oily phase. So basically, we take our solids, our oily solids, we start to heat up the system. When the solids are all melt, what we do in lab is making a stirring through the use of a magnetic stirrer, for example, and we add APALIGHT powder little by little. Very important, little by little, because that's the best way to avoid the formation of potential lumps and promote the correct dispersibility of the raw material. Once we finish to add little by little APALIGHT, we combine the oily phase and water phase, and we regularly make our emulsion, simply following the indications that our emulsifier requires. So this is a way to formulate APALIGHT in the oily phase. Of course, in order to do this, we need to have an oily phase of at least 10%, and we should heat the oily phase. If we want to work instead in a cold process or with low amounts of oily phase, we can work with the addition of the powder in water. So in this case, what we will need to do is starting to make the emulsion, and separately from the emulsion that we are building, we make a pre-dispersion where we add the APALIGHT powder to the water, following exactly the same principle as we have seen before with the oily phase. So what we can do is adding through a magnetic stirrer the APALIGHT, or stirring if we are in production phase. And after stirring thoroughly and adding little by little the ingredient, we will have our dispersion, pre-dispersion, which we will add to the emulsion previously made. We will stir and promote the homogeneity through a turbo mixing of the dispersion in the final cream, and at the end we will have our SPF product. So our discussion of APALIGHT has finished. Just for your information, Kalichem has a wide range of active ingredient in sun care formulations. We have also emulsifiers, we have other ingredients containing organic filters, we have products working on the skin microbiota. So from this perspective, we have a range of patented postbiotics, which have been awarded at the latest IFSCC event of 2019, which are very good, for example, for after sun formulations where we want to have a soothing action and avoid the UV damages. And last but not least, we also have made a project of sustainability for the protection of coral found in Italy, in the Mediterranean Sea, as we have a project that is aimed to fight the extensive fishing of corals for cosmetics used. What we do basically is taking the coral out of the jewel manufacturing waste, so we follow an upcycling philosophy. In any case, these are just some very quick highlights of the sun care range. Of course, the main player is absolutely APALIGHT. So I thank you very much for your attention, and I see that some questions have already arrived. If you have further ones, feel free to ask. And again, thank you very much for your attention to this presentation.
Guglielmo, we're going to show you the questions here on the screen. You can read and answer to them, okay?
I will read from the chat box. Or okay,
it's on the screen.
No, okay, fine, found it. Okay. So first question, is there a UVB factor tested of APALIGHT at 22 by itself? Yes, absolutely, there is. Consider that one of the tests that we have shown containing APALIGHT at 22% gave an SPF result of 44. So we are talking about absolutely an outstanding activity. Also, the UVA protection factor was assessed. It was not sufficient to balance the 1/3 UVA-UVB ratio, but we were very close. So it's absolutely tested and proven this activity. The crystal, next question, the crystal partially dissolves after a few hours. In this case, what can happen with the SPF, with the final SPF? Basically, what happens is nothing. So it's only a beneficial action because the dissolution of the hydroxyapatite is partial and slow. So if, after 2-3 hours, we have a dissolution of 80-90%, we should stay worried, but just consider that after a few hours, less than 10% of the hydroxyapatite will start getting dissolved. So SPF will not be affected. And another point, very important, the dissolution does not, the protection of APALIGHT does not come only from the screening of the mineral, but it comes also from the dissolution, because as I mentioned before, phosphates are able to strengthen the skin barrier and restore the barrier function. The barrier function is fundamental to avoid erythema during the sun exposure. So it is absolutely not just the mineral aspect, the mineral activity, but also the dissolution is part of the SPF activity. In any case, we have made trials also in long term, and SPF activity is kept. After a few hours, does APALIGHT lose a photoprotective capacity? How long would that take? So here we are very similar to the previous question. APALIGHT does not lose photoprotective features because, it is able to keep its mineral form. The SPF tests proved that even after irradiation, the SPF activity was exactly the same. So in our experience, because we already have plenty of products in the market with APALIGHT, no problems have ever taken place. The calcium released can reach the bloodstream. Well, it's not easy to reply to this point, because in order to assess this, it's not easy. Basically, calcium is supposed to be released mainly in the in the dermis, sorry, on the epidermis, and in a smaller part in the dermis. Usually, the penetration in the dermis is regulated by the gradient. So, the calcium will be released below the skin only if the calcium is required. We know that the human body is really very intelligent, knows what to use and how to get rid of what is not useful. From this perspective, calcium is, based on our knowledge, it should not go in the bloodstream. But very important to keep in mind, even if it would, there are no problems, because consider that this product with this kind of quality is used in, in prostheses, is used in injections, and calcium is not really toxic for this kind of applications. So even if there is an absorption, it's not an absorption significant. So I would not be concerned at all with the bloodstream point. Thus, the product can be accumulated in soil. Well, this is a new question for me. I take note of it, and I will check for a response. Based on our knowledge, it is not, it's something that should not take place, but I have to review the documentation to check further this information and give a more reliable response. But it's not supposed to do it. Inky, we can consider like zinc oxide, then titanium dioxide. So the inky name of this raw material is hydroxyapatite. I've not understood clearly the second part of the question. In any case, APALIGHT can be a replacement for titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, or can be combined to them. It's just up to your habits. It's just up to your experience, to your preferences. APALIGHT can be used as a replacement for this raw material, or as, in combination with them. In both cases, there are no problems at all. At what stage of the process can APALIGHT be added to, and how can it be dispersed? So APALIGHT has to be, as we have seen with the presentation, can be added either in the oily phase, if we have, let's say, at least 10% of oily phase, 5–10% of oily phase in the formulation, and if we are going to formulate with by heating up. In that case, we can absolutely use APALIGHT in the oily phase directly. In that case, we will use it after that the solids have melted. We will add it through stirring with little by little additions. Same philosophy of adding with the water phase. In the case of the water phase, we will make a pre-dispersion where we will still stir it through the use of a magnetic stirrer, or in production phase through a thorough stirring. The product will be added little by little, and after that we have made our pre-dispersion, we add it to the final formulation that is cooling down in terms of temperature, and we stir the pre-dispersion with the emulsion, and our cream is done. How important is calcium replacement in the skin? So, not understood clearly the question. So calcium for the skin, don't understand the point of replacement, but I will highlight the importance of calcium when used in APALIGHT. We know that calcium is basically a compound that is able to promote the activation of cells. For example, if we are on the skin, we are on the keratinocytes, we know that the calcium is a component that when is able to penetrate inside the cells, it increases their proliferation activity, it increases their metabolic activity. So especially in the case of sun exposure, where the UV rays are able to slow down the activity of the cells and let them suffer, having a calcium pool given by the hydroxyapatite will for sure allow to keep the homeostasis of the skin and promote a better response to the exposure to the UV rays. Can we say that APALIGHT has UVA protection? No, we can't. APALIGHT is APALIGHT is basically a UVB, is a compound that works on UVB protection. The spectrum of activity in the UVA range, there is a protection in the UVA range, but for example, it's not comparable to zinc oxide or avobenzone, which are the UVA filters commonly used. So for sure, APALIGHT will give a contribution, but it definitely requires something else to, to promote the a proper UVA protection. Is APALIGHT considered a sun protection active or a booster? Well, good question. APALIGHT is considered as a booster. So, I mean, it's not listed among the registered filters, but, I mean, if used in specific conditions, which are those that we have seen in the presentation, it can definitely work like a filter. So the definition, let's say the correct way from a regulatory point of view of defining it is sunscreen booster. But at the end of the day, if we consider that it performs similarly to titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, which are filters, we can absolutely claim that the product works like a filter, even if it is not yet registered as a filter.
Obrigado, thank you so much, Guglielmo. It was
thank you for your attention.
Okay, agradeço a presença, então, I invite you to stay here just a little bit.
Sure.
Agradeço a presença, então, do Guglielmo, que é o gerente técnico de marketing científico da Kalichem, e são representados no Brasil pela Color Mix. Thank you, Guglielmo. Agradeço a Yana Suzuki, a Mayra Gonza da ABC e toda a equipe da Color Mix, mais diretamente ao Fernando e a Eliane Dornelas, e convido a todos que estão aqui participando hoje para conhecerem o nosso site, né, o cosmetologiabrasil.com, os eventos que a gente já está promovendo aqui para os próximos dias, que são o quê? Você já vai ter a casa lotada, praticamente lotada, do Green Beauty, que vai acontecer na semana que vem, vai ter tradução para o espanhol, e também temos abertas já as inscrições para o Fórum de Embalagem e nosso evento de segurança e eficácia. Também já aproveito para falar do nosso Congresso Brasileiro de Cosmetologia, que este ano vai ser 100% online, vai ter tradução para o espanhol e inglês, vai acontecer durante 4 dias, vocês podem conhecer diretamente no site congressodecosmetologia.com.br. E agora eu vou convidar aqui o Guglielmo para suas últimas palavras e para a gente poder finalizar a nossa apresentação. And now, Guglielmo, I invite you for your last words, and after your words, we're going to finish the presentation, and thank you again.
So thank you very much to all of you for your attention. As I mentioned at the beginning, it was really a honor to be invited to this event. I hope it can, this is just the beginning. We can do it other times for other topics. And that's it. Obrigado a todo.
Obrigado a todos. Vamos finalizar então aqui as perguntas e agradecemos e deixamos aí, depois da atenção, vocês entrem em contato para falar diretamente com a Color Mix. Obrigado, gente. Obrigado. Tchau, tchau.
Tchau. Tchau.